going to implement basic connectivity among PC1, switch 1, switch 2, and PC2. First, I would like to introduce the addressing table. Addressing table represents the IP address and subnet mask and other information for each and every device. Now, switch 1, the device name, interface, IP address, subnet mask. Switch 1, switch 1, the device name is available. Switch 2 is available. PC1, PC2, it is available here. The device names are available here. And in this switch 1, which interface we are going to configure? VLAN 1. What is the IP address? 192.168.153. What is the subnet mask? Everything is given here. Like that for switch 2, what is the VLAN 1 IP address? What is the subnet mask for that? Like that for PC1 and 2, the IP address and subnet masks are given here. Okay. So if you want to know the IP address of any device, you have to refer the addressing table. That is the purpose of addressing table. Now we will discuss the objectives. There are three parts in this activity. Part 1, we are going to perform the basic configuration on switch 1 and switch 2. Part 2, we are going to configure the PCs. Part 3, we are going to configure the switch virtual interface or switch management interface. Let us go to part 1, perform a basic configuration on switch 1 and switch 2. We are going to configure the basic configuration on switch 1 and switch 2, both switches S1 and S2. In both the switches we are going to configure. Let us go to step 1. In step 1, we are going to configure the device, the name of the device. Okay, and let us go to this device. Okay, let us just click inside this and then press the enter key. The default device name is switch. We are going to replace this device name with S1. So it is given in the instruction. You have to configure the device name as S1, capital S1. We are going to do that one. Okay, so just you are going to uh, tell me how to do that one. So you know that we are in the user exe mode. The prompt greater than represents that we are in user exe mode. So to configure the host name, we have to go to the privilege exe mode. So to go to the privilege exe mode, first you have to access the privilege exe mode. To access the privilege exe mode, you have to execute the command enable in user exe mode. Now type the command enable. Now we are in the privilege exe mode. The symbol hash represents the privilege exe mode. So now we are in the privilege exe mode. Now we have to execute the command configure terminal to access the global configuration mode. So now we are in the global configuration mode. The objective of the first objective is we are going to configure the switch name, the device name as S1. So for that we have to use the command host name capital S1. So this command will change the device name as S1. After executing this command, immediately you can see the result. So now the device name is changed as S1. Before it was switch, now it is S1. Done. I will go to the next part. In step 2, we are going to configure the password for console line as well as the encrypted privilege exe mode password. The passwords are given here. Cisco is the password for the console password, and then class is the password for the privilege exe mode password. We know how to configure the password for console line. The command is line console 0. Next, you have to configure the password for console line. The given password is Cisco. So command is password Cisco. To activate the password, we have to execute the command login. Then exit this line mode. Type the command exit and then exit the line mode. Go to the global configuration mode. Now configure the encrypted privilege exe mode password for the password. The given password is class. So configure the password. Type the command. Enable secret. Enable secret class. Done. We have completed step 2. We'll move to step 3. In step 3, first we are going to verify the passwords are configured correctly or not. So how do you do that one? So go to the privilege exe mode, execute the command, exit, go to the privilege exe mode. If you want to display the content of the running configuration file, you have to use the show command, show running config. Show running config is the actual command. You can execute like this, or the short form of this command is show run. That's it. Okay, if you execute the command show run, it will also display the same content. Okay, now when you execute the command, you can see here enable secret. Secret always configure the password in the form of encrypted form. So correct, it is configured and we are not able to see the password. That means it is configured correctly. Okay, now if you see the more at the bottom, you have to press the space bar to see the remaining content of the output. Again press the space bar, again press the space bar. Now you can see the console password we configured as Cisco, so it is also configured correctly. So that's it. So we verified. So to verify that, we use the command show run. So here is a question: how can you verify both passwords were configured correctly? By using the command show run. Next, we are going to configure the banner message. The banner message is given here. Okay, you know how to configure the banner message. So how do you configure the banner message? The banner message should be configured in the global configuration mode. First, you have to move to the global config mode. Type config t. Now in this mode, we have to configure the banner message. To configure the banner message, first you have to execute the command banner message of the day MOTD, and then the delimiting symbol. I'm using the hash. Now you have to refer the instruction and you have to copy the banner message. So this is the banner message given in our activity. So I'm going to copy the message, select the message, press Ctrl C in your keyboard, and then click here, and then press the paste button. Now at the end of the message, again you have to use the same delimiting symbol. The delimiting symbol which we used here is hash. So I'm using the same symbol at the end of the banner message. Press the enter key, execute the command. Banner message is configured successfully. Go to step 4. In step 4, we are going to save the configuration file to NVRAM. So to do that, go to the privilege exe mode, type the command exit. Now we are in the privilege exe mode. Execute the command copy running config space startup config. Okay, if you type this command, the content of the running configuration file will be copied to the startup configuration file. The startup configuration file is stored in NVRAM, so all the configuration will be stored permanently. So you can execute the command copy running config space startup config. So it will prompt. So when it prompts, you have to press the enter key. Now it is saved. So I know that executing this command is a little bit difficult for you. The short form of this command is copy run start. I hope this command will be very much helpful for you, because it is easy. Copy run start. If you execute this command, this is the shortest form. So we are copy same command running config. We modified it, we simplified it as run. Startup config, we simplified it as start. So copy run start is the simplified form of copy running config space startup config. So you can execute this command. Again it will prompt, press the enter key. I will teach you one more command. Okay, another command is write. The write command will also do the same thing. If you execute the command write, okay, so it is equivalent to copy run start. Okay, so you can use copy run start or write to save the content permanently in the NVRAM. Done. Completed the step. Now we go to the step 5. The step 5, we have to repeat all the steps from 1 to 5 in switch 2. Now we are doing the configuration in switch 1. Here you can see we are doing the configuration in switch 1. Okay, let us leave it. We will go to the switch 2. Now just click inside this window, press enter key. start from the step 1. Step 1, we are going to change the host name. So the given host name is S2. So you have to configure the host name, the device name as S2. So we are going to change the name, switch. This one we are going to change it as S2. How do you do that one? We are in the user exe mode. We cannot configure the host name in this mode. So we have to go to the global config mode. For that, I'm going to execute the command enable. En is the short form of the enable command. Now I'm going to execute the command con of t. Con of t is the short form of configure terminal command. Now I'm going to change the host name. So for that, I'm going to execute the command host name s2 capital S, capital S, S2. So immediately you can see the output. So the host name is changed as S2. Done. Next, step 2, we are going to configure the line console password as Cisco. Execute the command line console 0, then password. What is the password? The password is line console password is Cisco. So execute the command, type the password Cisco, then activate this password by using the command login. Done. Exit the line mode. Now we are in the line mode. How do you go to the global config mode? By executing the exit command. So right now we are in the global config mode. Now we have to configure the password class as a privileged encrypted privilege exe mode password. Encrypted privilege exe mode password. Okay, class is the encrypted privilege exe mode password. For that you have to use the command enable secret. Then what is the password given here? The password is class. Okay, so type the password as class. Done. Next part, next step, we have to verify. Already we know what is the command to verify. Exit, execute the command show. Now I'll tell you, no need to type show. If you type sh, that is the short form of show command. Show run. Execute this command, because if you know the short form, it will save your time. Okay, show run. Now you can see that yes, enable secret password is configured correctly. Correctly means what? So we are not able to see the password, but the password is configured and it is encrypted. So we are able to see that. If you see the more at the end, again you have to press the space bar. Again you have to press the space bar, space bar. So line console password, it is configured perfectly. It is Cisco, very good. Again press the space bar. Okay, done. So we verified it. Now we have to configure the banner message. So if you want to configure the banner message, configure the message first. Now come here. We are in privilege exe mode. First we have to move to global config mode. Type the command config t. Now type the command banner motd message of the day. Type the delimiter. The delimiting symbol we are using is hash. Now press the paste. Then type the delimiting symbol at the end of the message. Done. Next, we are going to save the configuration on NVRAM. Exit. You can save through copy, run, start. Okay, or else you can use write, or else the short form of write is WR. Okay, so these are all the different commands you should know, which will be helpful for you. Okay, now we completed part 1. So complete part 1. We have this part. Up to this we completed. We have repeated everything in switch 2. Up to step 1 to step 5 we completed. Now we go to part 2. In part 2, first step, we are going to configure PC1 and PC2 with the IP address. Okay, so we'll go to the scenario. This is the scenario. So this is the PC1 and this is PC2. We are going to configure the IP address for this. Okay, so let us I will close this window. I will close this window also. Okay, I'll click PC1. Okay, I'll click PC1. I'll open the IP configuration. I'm going to configure the IP address and subnet mask. Where is the IP address? Where is the subnet mask? The IP address and subnet mask is given in the addressing table. Go to the instruction. So this is the instruction file. In the instruction file, go to the addressing table part. This is the addressing table part. See, the name of the device is PC1. You can refer here, PC1. You are going to type the address for PC1. So PC1, what is the address given here? For PC1, the given IP address is 192.168.1.1. I'm copying this address. I'm pasting this address here. Next, subnet mask. Subnet mask, when you click the subnet mask field, it will display automatically, but you have to verify. Here the subnet mask is 255, 255, 255, 0. What is the given subnet mask? 255, 255, 255.0. So if both subnet masks is correct, then close this window, or else you have to correct it. Now go to PC2, click this IP configuration. Now you have to enter the IP address and subnet mask. Refer the instruction. The given IP address for PC2 is 192.168.1.2. Copy this. Click here. Paste it. Control V. When you click the subnet mask, it appears automatically. It's your duty to verify. So first field is 255, 255, 255, 255, 255, 255, and then 0. Both subnet masks are same, correct. So now in that case, you can close this. So we completed part 2. We completed part 2. We have configured the IP address and subnet mask for PC1 and 2. So we have done this. Okay. Next thing, what we are going to do, we are going to test the connectivity to the switch. Part 1 we completed, step 1 we completed. We are going to do the step 2. So from PC1 we are going to ping. Okay, click PC1, close the IP configuration window. Okay, and then click the command prompt, type the command ping, and then type the IP address of switch 1 and press enter. Okay, we are going to check whether PC1 is able to communicate with PC2 or not. Okay, so now I will click PC1. I'll click PC1. I will go to the command prompt. Okay, this one, fourth one, IP configuration dial-up terminal command prompt, fourth one. Click the command prompt. So if you want to test the connectivity between any two devices, you have to use the ping command. Ping the IP address. In the instruction, you have to ping with the switch 1. Now go to the instruction, go to the addressing table, find out the IP address of switch 1. The IP address of switch 1 is 192.168.1.253. So we are going to check whether we are able to ping or not. Okay, sorry for that. I'm going to use the command ping. Okay, so ping 192.168.1.53. This is a command. So we are going to verify whether PC1 is able to communicate with the switch 1 or not. We are waiting for the reply. We are waiting for the output. A request timeout means PC1 is not able to communicate with switch 1. Request timeout. Request timeout. Okay, again it is trying second time. Request timeout. Request timeout. Request timed out. So 4 times. So PC1 tried to communicate with switch 1, but PC1 cannot communicate with switch 1. There is no communication between PC1 and switch 1. Okay, so we tried to communicate from PC1 to switch 1. So if you want to communicate from one device to, if you want to test the connection between one device to another device, you have to use the ping command. So ping, we have executed the IP address of switch 1, but the connection was unsuccessful. There is no connection between the PC1 and switch 1. If the result is request timed out, this represents that there is no connection between the PC1 and switch 1. Okay, can anyone guess why we are not able to communicate? The reason is we have not configured the IP address for switch 1 and switch 2. Okay, the reason is, what is the reason? Why were you successful? No, unsuccessful, because we have not yet configured the IP address for switch 1 and switch 2. Because of that, PC1 cannot communicate with switch 1. Let us move to the part 3. In part 3, we are going to configure the switched management interface. Okay, we are going to configure the switched virtual interface or switched management interface. That is, we are going to configure the IP address for switch 1 and switch 2. The IP address for switch 1 and switch 2 will be configured in the VLAN interface, virtual interface. You know that VLAN is a virtual interface, it is not a physical interface. So for switches, if you want to configure the IP address, you have to configure in the virtual interface, VLAN 1. Okay, so let us start with switch 1. The IP address for VLAN 1 should be configured by using the command. Okay, so interface VLAN 1. First, you have to access the virtual interface VLAN 1, and then you have to type the command IP address. Where is the IP address? This IP address is given in the addressing table. So here is the addressing table. You have to refer this addressing table. Switch 1 VLAN 1 IP address is 192.168.253. Switch to VLAN 1 IP address is 192.168.1.254. So you have to refer this, and then you have to configure the IP address and subnet mask. Then finally you have to execute the command no-shut. This command is used to bring the line protocol and to change the state of the line to up. Usually the virtual interface will be in the down state, that is, it is deactivated. To activate that interface and to bring the line mode to up, we have to use the command no-shut. Let us try this in switch 1. Okay, go to the switch 1. Now enter. Okay, we already protected. Can anyone tell me what is the password we have to type here? We already configured the console password and then the privilege exe mode password. What is the console password we configured? We configured the console password as Cisco. First, you have to type the console password. The console password is Cisco. Listen, when you type the password, you are not able to see the password. Password is not visible to you. So you have to carefully type the password and you have to press the enter key. So now I am able to access the user exe mode. Now I am going to type the command enable. When I type the command enable, when I execute the command enable again, the privilege exe mode is protected by using the encrypted privilege exe mode password. What is the password we configured? Class. So you have to configure the type the password class. Done. So now go to the global config mode. Config T. Okay. Config T, right? Config T. Now in the global configuration mode, first access the virtual interface. To access the virtual interface, you have to type the command interface VLAN 1. Okay. Now configure the IP address. To configure the IP address, the command is IP address. Copy the IP address from the addressing table for switch 1 VLAN 1. So switch 1 VLAN 1. The IP address is this. I'm copying this address. I'll click here. I'll paste it. Sorry. IP address, I'll type better. I will type. Okay. 192.168.1.253 space. I have to type the subnet mask 255.255.255.0. I will maximize this. Again, see here IP address 192.168.1.253. Okay. Next, you have to activate this interface. You have to type the command no shutdown. This command bring this interface to up state. Okay. When you execute the command no shut, immediately you can see the result of this command. Interface VLAN 1 changed to up. Okay. Line protocol on interface VLAN 1. Okay. Changed state to up. So immediately it will display this information. This is a message for you that the state of the VLAN 1 interface is changed to up. This is not error or nothing. Okay, just you have to press the enter and you have to continue your work. Now type exit. Okay, now I want to save all the things in the NVRAM. So here I'm going to use the command write, or you can use copy run start. What is the command? Copy run start. Done. Okay, now I will close the switch 1. I'll go to switch 2. Okay, now tell me what is the password we have to execute here. The first password should be the line console password. What is the line console password we configured? Cisco. So type the password Cisco here. Okay, press enter. Now type the command enable. Now you have to type the command encrypted privilege exe mode password. We configured class as the encrypted privilege exe mode password. Type the password class. Now type the command config t. Okay, configure the IP address for the switch to. How do you configure the IP address for the switch to? For any switch, if you want to configure the IP address, you have to configure the IP address in the virtual interface. So access the virtual interface by using the command interface VLAN1. Okay, type the command IP address, refer to the addressing table, switch to VLAN1, IP address is 192.168.1.254. So type here 192.168.2 sorry, not 2, I think 1.254. Okay, 1.254. Then the subnet mask will be, what is the subnet mask? 255.255.0. So type the subnet mask 255.255.255.0. No shutdown. The short form of no shutdown is no shut. Like that, if you see here, okay, I have executed the command IP add. So IP address, the short form is IP address. You can reduce the command as add IP address. No shutdown, no shut. Okay. So just click the enter and then continue. I'm going to save this. I'm going to go directly to the privilege exe mode. For that, I'm going to execute the command end. Now I'm going to store this in the NVRAM. Copy, run start, or you can type the command write, or you can type WR also. Okay, so done. Now what we are going to do, we have done part 1 and part 2. Part 3 also we have done. We have configured up to this. Now we are going to the up to this step we have completed in part 3. Okay, now we are going to execute the step 5. Step 5, what we are going to do, we are going to verify the connectivity between PC1 and the other devices. Okay, first we are going to ping between PC1 and PC2, and we are going to ping between PC1 and switch 1, and then PC1 and switch 2. Okay, go to the PC1, any device. Okay, go to the PC1, IP configuration, sorry, not IP configuration. If you want to test the connection, go to the command prompt. Okay, now if you want to ping with I want to ping with switch 1, I want to ping with switch 1 first. Okay, no, first with PC2. What is the IP address of PC2? The IP address of PC2, refer to the addressing table. The IP address of PC2 is 192.168.1.2. 192.168.1.2. So type the command, type the command 192.168.1.2. What is the IP address of PC2? Look at here. PC2 IP address is 192.168.1.2. I'm typing 192.168.1.2. Enter. Now it is coming. It is the reply is coming. That is, when PC1 communicates with PC2, PC2 is sending reply for PC1, meaning PC1 and PC2 are able to communicate. So the communication between PC1 and PC2 is successful. Let us check the connection between PC1 and switch 1. Okay, the IP address of switch 1 is 192.168.1.253. Okay, so I will execute 1.253, 192.168.1.253. execute the command. Let us see, request timed out. That means it says that no connection. If all the 4 replies request timeout, 192.168.1.253, request timed out. That means PC1 and switch 1 Okay, why request timed out? Again, we are trying. PC1 is not able to communicate with switch 1. 192.168. Okay, let us check. Let us check why PC1 is not able to communicate with. Okay, we'll go to switch 1. If you want to check, you have to execute the command show run. Okay, you have to verify. You have to verify whether you have configured everything correctly or not. So now I'm going to verify the running configuration. Banner message configured perfectly, line console configured, and then interface VLAN 1. Oh my god, we have done a mistake. I have done a mistake. VLAN 1 interface is not configured properly. That is a problem. So now what I'm going to do, see the mistake. Okay, now I will type configure T. Okay, now interface VLAN 1, interface VLAN 1. Okay, now IP address, I have to cancel that. By mistake I configured the IP address as DHCP. Now I have to cancel it. No IP address DHCP is the command to cancel that one. Okay, done. Now I have to configure the IP address. IP address, the given IP address is for VLAN 1 is 192.168.1.253. 192.168.1.253, correct? And then type the subnet mask 255.255.255.0, and then no shed. Okay, done. Let us check now. I will exit and then I will save this. Okay, so this is very good, because if you do mistake, you have to go to the running configuration and you have to verify your you have to, if you want to troubleshoot like this, you have to troubleshoot. Let us check now whether the problem is solved or not. Go to the PC1, again go to the command prompt, again execute the same command. Okay, I'm going to execute the same command, ping. Okay, now I am pinging. Okay, let us check whether the PC1 is able to again request time. Now it is reply is coming. Okay, again we will execute the command. Let us check this time. Okay, yes, now the communication between PC1 and switch 1 is successful. PC1 is sending the message to switch 1. Switch 1 is sending reply for that message. You can see the ping statistics. PC1 send 4 messages to the switch 1. The switch 1 send 4 messages back. It replies for all the 4 messages. Okay. So 0% lost. Okay. And then what is the minimum time taken? 0 millisecond. Maximum time is 1 millisecond. Average time is 0 milliseconds. Okay, so PC1 is able to communicate with switch 1. Let us try whether PC1 is able to communicate with the PC switch 2 or not. Switch 2 IP address is 254. Let us execute the command, change the IP address. IP address is 254. Type. Now we will see. Request timed out. Again, initially it was request timeout. See, if it comes like this, one request timeout and all the reply, that means there is a connection. If it comes like this, again you have to try the command ping. So if you try the command second time, the connection will be successful. Now it is successful. Okay, so it is clearly given in the instruction. Look at here, all pings should be successful. Now we are able to communicate with switch 1, switch 2 and PC2. All the pings are successful. If the first ping result is 80%, again you have to try. It should now become 100%. Okay, so that's all about this activity. Thank you.